Okay.
He's not your average white guy. Like, he just looks like a Viking. Somebody with an axe, chopping wood or something. Kratos. He looks like a nice Kratos.
What's a Kratos?
It's a character, a video game character.
Hey.
It's bad out.
Hey. Welcome back to Mom Vibes Podcast. This is Carissa.
And Portia.
And our very good friend Emerald is back with us this week.
She is back.
Hello, Emerald.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you
Of
for coming. Oh my
course.
gosh, thank you. So this week we're gonna try not to say 100 times like I do.
Or like. I think it's
Or
like a lot.
no. But this week we are talking about interracial marriages, relationships, and there it goes.
Yeah.
A funny thing about all three of us is that we all have something in common, and that is we
Being
are
black.
I'm kidding.
Somebody black into it.
Yes. That we all are in interracial marriages.
Yeah.
Yes. Last week we talked about boobs.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Now we're
Well, we
talking
did.
about-
Kidding, not kidding. And this year we're talking about what led us to having to feed our children, which was our marriages.
Right.
Right?
At the source.
Marriage leads to breasts.
Babies. Oh. To babies.
Just kidding. But a little background about us. Emerald,
My husband's white.
who are you? Who are you married to?
So my husband John and I have been married for almost 15 years. This December we celebrate 19 years together. We were high school sweethearts. And so, yeah.
I love that.
And he's white.
And he's white. Yes. He's of Caucasian descent.
The Caucasian.
Caucasian variety.
Portia, who's you married to?
I'm married to Richard Michael Cohn
Okay.
Okay, government.
because he just goes by so many names. Cohn, Michael, Richard. And we've been married for 10 years. We've only been dating for like 2 seconds and got married. But yeah, 10 years. 10.
And he is.
He is, he's a mutt actually. But he is what is it? The nice way, Caucasian descent.
Nice way.
German. He even got some Native American in him. That's why he got some thick hair.
Okay.
He's not your average white guy. Like, he just looks like a Viking. Somebody with an axe, chopping wood or something. Kratos. He looks like a nice Kratos.
What's a Kratos?
It's a character, a video game character.
I've got to look him up now.
I gotta show y'all. Yeah. But yeah, he's white and I'm chocolate, and we make caramel babies.
I thought you were going to say chocolate milk. Hi, my name's Carissa, and I have been married to my husband Terrence for 13 years.
Yeah, on the
On
teens.
October 2nd, but we've been together for 19. And
You said 19 too, right? Dang.
04?
Straight out of high school.
And he's black and
Indian. You got that name. You know we all got
yes,
that
he's
Indian. We all
Cherokee
got that
too.
Cherokee.
He has some Cherokee.
Y'all are big.
Cherokee.
We all got that.
And I am Polynesian, so an island from Rotuma. What? Nope, that's not right. That was the wrong English. An island called Rotuma, which is off the island of Fiji. So if you think about it, I'm like Moana, but better.
Make way.
What song is that?
Moana.
Oh, you. And my mom is from Australia. She is a little bit of everything: German,
see.
white, all the things. I'm sorry, Caucasian. Do I have to be politically correct?
Yeah.
Is it true that Australia has the most poisonous animals
Yes.
ever?
Yes.
Every time I watch the TV, it's like always in Australia. I'm like, yo, I'm never going there.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I live in America. But that's what we all have in common, right? Is that we are married to individuals of the not the same race.
Yeah.
And so we are going to chat a little bit about the challenges that we've gone through, about, I mean, if any, how society has perceived us, some fun stories. I'm just going through our checklist. Some fun stories maybe that or funny stories that we can tell about our marriages. Yeah. I felt like we were at church for a second. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, Portia, if you could tell us a little bit about what your experience has been being a Black woman, married, and actually, no, Portia and Emerald, your guys' experiences together, separate, whatever, how it's been being married to a white man.
You're starting to see it more now. Like, we coming out
100%.
there.
Yeah, 19 years ago, John and I were like unicorns. And that's just how it felt, because I would see a lot of white women and Black men, but we were the only people. Well, there was one other couple that I went to school with that I can remember that was, Black woman, white man. Let's see. So we were from a really small town. I'm from Tabor City, North Carolina.
I'm sorry, what?
Tabor City.
Tabor City.
Tabor
City.
When I was there, we had a Burger King and like 2 stoplights. Now they're cool. Now they've got a Burger King and a McDonald's and a couple stoplights. And I think they just redid the elementary school, so they think they're hot stuff. But a really small town. He was from a neighboring town called Whiteville, North Carolina. Or if you're from there, Wyville, North Carolina. Really small towns. And so we went to rival high schools, and he had really long hair. And so my twin sister, we met because one of his really good friends was dating one of my really good friends, and he needed his hair braided. He had hair all the way down his back when I met him. And so John was always like that guy. Like he was like a star football player. I was a band geek, that kind of thing. Like, and he came to my house on a Saturday, September 24th, 04.
Actual dates.
And he came over and got his hair braided. And I remember he pulled up in like his Chrysler Sebring convertible. He thought he looked so cool. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I remember not even really liking him. I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea that like the whole thing was supposed to be for us to like hook up. I had no clue. I had no clue he was coming to like meet me. And so we ended up hanging out and went to the park. Like it was like us, like a whole group of friends. My mom came and she took everyone's socials, license plates, and all that stuff. Y'all, my mom was socials. My mother was super overprotective. And then that night we went to Myrtle Beach, which is only like 45 minutes away, and went to a movie together, like as a whole group. So when we started dating, it wasn't even like boyfriend and girlfriend type stuff. It was like, oh, we're just like a really big group of people. And then like a couple weeks later, he called me. He's got my phone number from my friend, and he asked me to go to the lake with him. And I was like, okay. So we just went to the lake and like swam, and we were like friends for like ever, it seemed. Like we were just like hanging out. But I remember even going to a football game. And so this was like a few months later, going to a football game at my school. And this white guy walked up to him, and he was like, because Whiteville was known for being like, not more radical, but like white villains at that school. It seemed like they did whatever. Like they were so cool. I say white villains. I don't even know what they're called. That's what I call them. But it just seemed like their school was like the cool, hip school. They got to do whatever. My school was like super strict. And so he saw us outside, at the football game, like near the bleachers. And a guy walks up, because John and I are walking together, and he says, "You're from Wyville, ain't you?" And John says, "Yeah." He's acting like he's all cool. He says, "Figures," and kept walking. So it was like our first.
Trip him?
No, I was just like, okay. So it was our first interaction with people being like, okay, what the heck is going on? Before me, John had a Black girlfriend for like a year or two, and then
He always knew.
yeah. So I wasn't like his first Black girlfriend. John he's got one best friend to this day. They've been best friends since they were 6 and 7. And he's white, but other than that, like all of John's best friends were Black. It was like he was just cool with everybody, but he kind of, like he always says, he gravitated more toward melanated people. That was just his thing. And so when he met me, it was just a little more, I guess it was natural. I used to always envision my husband like really tall and dark skinned with locks. I don't know why. So like John's the complete opposite of what I thought I would marry. But even growing up, we didn't have too many people like disapproving. Like we didn't have a lot of disapproval. It was more of lots of stares, of course. And this is like, I mean, not super deep South, but it's Southern North Carolina. So lots of stares. And then we'd have some people come up and say, "Y'all look so good together." And I'm like, okay. So, but I can't say that we faced a ton of adversity, especially not like head on, like people like really coming to us and saying like a lot of crazy stuff. But, and I think too, honestly, I think we just really walked confidently in our relationship. And maybe because John's like big and burly and people are kind of scared of him. So people didn't come up to him and say anything crazy. But we've always just done our own thing. If people weren't approving, I don't even think we noticed, to be honest. Like if it wasn't blatant in our face, then I honestly don't know if it was there or not.
Yeah.
And maybe because we were just so isolated and like dealing with one another. I think if I'd been looking for approval from other people, it would have looked a little different for us. But we were just so intrinsic with our relationship that it's like, I can't say that we had a ton of adversity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think I had any either, really. I don't think that I. But so Michael's same way. He had a black girlfriend before me, and I feel like nowadays people are. I feel like they're looking more. It's accepting, but I feel like we get stares still. Like we'll be out and about, and we'll even be driving down the street, and we'll see someone just like staring, looking in the car, like they're like, "What are you looking at?" But like people will stare. It's mostly black men, and I wonder, like they're probably like, "Oh, why he get her, or why he with her, or something like that." But
I can agree with that. I think that too.
And some white people will look, and then when they see me with my kids, I've always got a lot of like, "Wow, those are your kids," and they all got the same daddy, and I'm like, y'all too bold asking all these questions. I was like, wow. But we really haven't gotten any. We just got stares here and there, but nothing really like what you said. And we were long distance too at first, so it wasn't that bad. But
But speaking of the kids thing, it reminds me, but I'm always reminded because I thought that John and I would have a lot of adversity, but I've had the most stares and the most people coming up to me and questioning me with me and the children. Like I thought the marriage would be a thing, but it's been me having, I'll never forget Kylan, he just turned 10. So he was maybe 4 months old, and he was in a baby carrier. And I was nursing him, which means I had some side boob out. Like we talked last week about breastfeeding. Like I was breastfeeding and side boob was out, and he's nursing, and you can see the top of his head, and you can see his little legs and feet hanging out. And so you clearly know that there's a baby there. Yeah. And we're at the park, and I remember this woman walking up to me, and she's walking up, and she's like getting a little close. And I'm like, okay, like we're at a park, what's going on? And then she looks to the side, and she says, "Is that your baby?" And
no, it's just attached to my breast.
And I'm like, I got a whole baby dangling. And I was like, what kind of wet nurse are you? So I remember getting home and being like, I remember always having interactions like that. It was like I was a magnet for it. And I would always get home and say, oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. Like
I had do to that get really, too. I always be thinking like, dang, why is it?
I had to get so good with comebacks in the moment. And it sucked because it was like I had to have a comeback. Like I was constantly thinking like if somebody says a certain thing to me, I have to have like a quip. I have to be ready to go. And that was like frustrating for years. I don't get it as much now. I think because my last baby was a pandemic baby, so we didn't go anywhere. But but all the kids, because I got my DNA test done years ago, I'm 98% African. They say 2% something else. I said, if y'all run me that whole 100%, I'm 98% African. Kind of fool 98%. I'm 100% black, okay? And so my whole family looks like super strong genes. And so I remember telling John, I was like, there's no way the kid's going to look like you. Like I remember telling him when we were young, like the kid's going to look just like me. It is what it is. Every time I had a baby, I was like, who
this light skinned baby?
What in the world is going on? And so when I look at old photos of them, I could see why people were like, okay, girl, what's going on? But it's the fact that I think, honestly, a black woman and white man isn't as accepted. It's kind of like, what in the world's going on here? So they would always question because I think it seems like an anomaly almost, where it's like you see the opposite, but you don't see a lot of times a black woman and a white man. So I grapple with that a lot and my thing was, okay, our complexions are totally different. I get that. Like, if you don't believe that I can make whatever kind of baby you think I can make, that's fine. But I think the main thing for me was I always felt like my motherhood was in question because I would be like, okay, even though we don't look alike, you see me holding a baby, nursing a baby, loving this baby. Like, I seem motherly. Like, I appear to be their mother. So why would you question if it's my baby when the motherly instinct is there, like the intuition is there, all those things. And
baby wearing, you're doing
exactly. And so I felt like my motherhood a lot of times was called into question with people saying, is that your baby? I was like, do I not seem motherly? Like, what's going on? So it was more to me than just race. And that's what I dealt with for a lot, for a long time. So
I was tired of going out at one point. I was like, look, somebody ask me one more time.
Yeah.
Because, I got 2 light skins. And Aaliyah, I was baby wearing her too in the back. I think it was at the fair. I was at the fair.
That's why you don't go to the fair no more.
And I went to the bathroom and had Aaliyah baby wearing, and it was a young girl. She was kind of like 13. She was like, "That's your baby?" I was like, "Yeah." And it's like the mom, I guess, came in. They were like, you know, like, oh, she's so cute. But I'm just like, if y'all don't leave me alone, it's my baby.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence and I, he's over there. We didn't ever I think people were confused about what I was. That they just didn't know. It was either you're Puerto Rican. I mean, me, not you. Well, I mean, you got Dominican every now and then.
I got that.
They were like, what is she? Is she mulatto? Is she... People still don't know what I am, so they just defaulted.
Thought you were black and white or something like that.
They would always default to mulatto because they weren't sure, and so we never really got much pushback or anything like that. But I feel like
booty.
It's just wide. It's not protruding. But with, you know, from what this is my personal thought in regards to a black woman with a white man, is that people are too afraid to address it, and so they talk about it behind. They talk about it with their folk or whatever,
or in the comments.
Or quote unquote the comments, which I kind of feel is great. Is that because black women are so strong, right? And that they're like, bump that. We're not going to put our hands on that. But in the reverse, not saying that black men are not strong. But people are real quick to say something because the woman is white, and and then, you know, people will say, oh, well, this is what I've heard, is that, you know, people say, oh, well, he doesn't want to go be with a black queen, so he's just going to go with the white woman. And I'm like, no, y'all don't realize, like, in society, it sucks that society today likes to determine how people should be in their marriage, or who they should be with. You know, when in reality, in the Bible, it's like, hey, everybody love everybody no matter what. But with I almost said Braylon. That's my son. With Terrence and I, people thought we were brother and sister.
Get out of here.
So the Walmart story. We were dating at the time,
and it's Walmart.
You know,
no shade, but of course it's Walmart.
These old folk. We're in line at Walmart, and we're like arm in arm and checking out, and the lady's like, "Oh, are you guys brother and sister?"
Get out of here.
That make out.
Yeah, right.
I guess my question is, what is that innate feeling that people have that makes them question? Because it's like, if I see people, and like when people say, oh, what if is that your baby? What if my child was adopted? Like, how would that make them feel? You know, like, I've never had that urge to ask somebody what their family situation was, or is that your husband? Is that your brothers? Like, what do you get out of a yes or no answer? You know, like, I've never felt that way. I'm in Walmart, I'm doing self-checkout, and I'm irritated that it's taking too long. I don't care about what your baby looks like, or is that your husband or your brother, your uncle?
Right.
Like, I've never thought of that, but it's like this innate push that people have to have their curiosity, like, answered, you know?
They just have to get an answer.
Yeah.
And do you think it's the generation? Because usually it's the old folk.
Yeah. Because I feel like and honestly, when I used to get a lot of, is that your baby? They were older people. People our age don't care. No. Because I think because
the new race is mixed right now.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, okay, cool, whatever. A lot of times we get smiles, and if you end up talking to me in the line, then I'll say, oh, because mothers, honestly, too, a lot of times our innate things to say, this is my baby Orion, she's 5 months old. Like, we have a sense of pride when it comes to that. So it's like, if you actually talk to me and actually said, oh, your baby's so sweet, or I love your shirt, then you're guaranteed to probably get a more conversation with me anyway, as opposed to asking a question that could have me being like, are you serious right now? But I think it is like an older generation. And especially if you see, like I said, and not that we're the first ever, but I think even before us, like, clearly, I feel like I said, black woman, white man is a newer thing. Yeah. And so I feel like that's honestly why we get questioned so much. People are like, what's going on? And I think too, when you mention like black women being really strong, a lot of times they see us as not being submissive. And so a lot of times it's like, and so a lot of times I feel like a lot of times with me, people think I'm a pushover because they think, oh, if she can submit to a white man, then she's super soft, really nice, really sweet. Yeah. I'm not that way, y'all. I am.
She may sound that way.
Okay. But I'm like, look, y'all, like, okay, I'm still who I am.
She will drop kick you in 2 seconds.
I still am who I am. But I think a lot of times when people see us, they think if she commits if she could submit to a white man, and that's like the ultimate authority,
right? Yeah.
Then she could, then she's really nice and sweet and that kind of thing. And maybe that's what it is too. Like, I'm trying to think of ways to, because like I said, yeah, we're strong, but it's like, I always say, y'all, I'm not a strong black woman. I need my husband. I'm just as soft as they come. Okay? Like,
I forget what There was something I was
I'm
watching,
like, where he at?
Okay.
and there
I
was
need my
somebody
man.
saying, "I don't want to be called," or no. People were saying how they didn't want to be called like women didn't want to be called fragile or anything like that, and that
Yeah.
they. But then there was another woman who was like, "No, I want to be considered fragile because I am fragile,
Yeah.
because my emotions are fragile,
Yeah.
and I need my husband. I need my husband in those weak times because and that just kind of
That
balance.
balance.
Yeah. Is
And the feminism movement is a whole nother conversation. Oh
Yeah.
my word.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother talk.
definitely.
But I think that's what it is. They think if we could submit to what is deemed society's biggest authority, then we're a certain type of woman. And I think that's what happens with the black woman, white man dynamic. But yeah.
that's true. That is really and like society, I feel like there's a lot of people who have not seen, right, a black woman with a white man, and they're just like, oh,
They're like, wow.
what's this? I want to know more about it. But it's just kind of like, just accept it. Who cares if they're black and white? Who cares if they're Polynesian and black and Cherokee?
I feel like people get more mad if, like, I know black women, because I'll see on like social media, you see like black women commenting like, oh, like what you said, like the black queen thing, like, oh, he just want to date white girls and this and that. I feel like a lot of black women get mad about that, but the other way around, I don't really see,
no
white
comments.
men getting mad about dating a black woman.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think I've ever came across that, unless it's like parents
Yeah.
of the white individual.
Yeah.
So
So we're all from different parts of the United States.
world.
I'm from the Pacific Northwest, Washington State. You're from the Northeast.
North Carolina.
You're from the North Carolina,
Yeah.
right? And how was it growing up? Did you guys see? I know this sounds really weird. See race, in high school. Was it a thing? Was it, in the now we're all in the South, right?
Yeah.
Where people expect. Not saying that racism is not there,
Yeah.
but people expect us to, let me rewind. When we were all dating our significant others, we're all living here, we're married, blah, blah, blah. I feel like people who come to the South expect us to have those stories of, yes, when me and my husband were in there, people called us this and this and this. In reality, we didn't.
And I can say I didn't have it with my relationship, but I grew up in a really small town. I was on the school bus sitting in the front, being one of the only black kids on the bus, having my hair pulled, being called the N-word. So have I experienced racism? Heck yes. Did I think that every white person was the way that the white kids were on the bus? No, that's why I'm with my husband now. But I definitely experienced racism for sure. Like, I couldn't say like, oh, I never experienced my relationship, but negate the way I grew up. Like, it was definitely there for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe I was too naive to not notice, but everywhere I was in New Jersey, everybody was something. Like, I grew up in a Hispanic town, so everybody was either Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, black,
So lots of diversity.
a little bit of white, a little bit of Asian. So everybody it was just ghetto to me. I grew up in the hood. It was just ghetto.
So
But
yes, it was very diversified. There we go.
yes, so I never really, but I think coming from Jersey and then marrying a white guy from the South, I feel like people probably expected me to marry like a Hispanic guy maybe.
Yeah.
They probably didn't think I would marry a white guy.
The expectations people have for you.
Yeah.
In Washington State, it's okay. It's very okay. It's weird because in my high school, I hate to say, there was 9 black people in my graduating class. In the Pacific Northwest, a lot of it is Native American, Hispanic, white, or Asian. They have a whole Japanese institution up there.
They do?
They
Dang.
do, yeah. And so, honestly, I didn't see race. One thing, I did, but it wasn't like one thing that as I think back is I would always get pissed off that people would call me Hispanic. right? And I'm guessing, I mean,
Just to
in my
assume.
mind is like, well, that's a different type of race. I mean, racism's racism, right? No matter what race you are. But, you know, going back, I'm thinking, well, dang, I got so offended when people would call me Hispanic. Because I'm Polynesian, guys.
Because you are something, but
I'm something, right?
no one wants to
but I'm like,
ask.
why don't people know
Yeah.
that I'm Polynesian? Why don't people know about the Polynesian culture? And that's just society today. It's either black or white,
Yeah.
black, white, or Hispanic,
true.
right? And it's tough growing. I mean, now, because I hate explaining what I am. I was like, y'all should just know. I mean, y'all know.
Yeah.
But it's you know, it was a different type of racism back in the day. I didn't take offense to it, but I was like, gosh, here I have to go, having to explain what I am all over again.
And it feels like it's erasing your heritage, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm proud of who I am, where I come from, and not that you're not offended because you don't like the other race that you're being
Right.
called, but it's like, I am who I am, so
Right.
I want to be addressed
And
as
there's
that,
very
yeah.
little of us in the
You're like,
States, right?
yeah,
And it's
five or
like,
10 of us is
come
what it is.
on. And you know, even with when I married Terrence, I got rid of my born given middle name and kept my maiden name Ferenque because I was like, oh, there's not many of us, so I want to keep it, and I want to keep that close. But you know, moving here, when I moved here, everybody was like, oh, you moved to the South, right? What? How's it going? What do you mean?
How's it going?
What do you mean? It's good. It's hot. There's spicy food and chicken. Fried chicken places. Have you heard of Bojangles?
Yeah.
Because it's delicious. You know, I mean, it wasn't in my mind. Like, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And I mean, I guess we're going into a whole race conversation, but
Interracial.
you know, it's how is it with your kids? You know, how do we? Unfortunately, I mean, society today, there's a negative aspect in regards to white women, black men, black women, white
Your
men,
little
whatever,
feet.
you know. And how do we have those conversations with our kids?
We have to have, that was a lot of smack, sorry. I'm like, I was ready. So, we have to have them young. I remember, like, I didn't just wait for my kids to come to me and say, Mom, I think we look different, or what's going on? Like, I remember, like, they were young, like, before kindergarten, before they were like, Mom's black, Dad's white, we're biracial.
Yeah.
And I remember teaching them, like, correct terms. I did the same thing with, like, anatomy. Like, that's how it's always been. But I didn't want them to go to school and have people tell them what they were. I didn't want my kids to say, oh, I'm only black, I'm not white. Oh, I'm only white, I'm not black. Like, my kids know Mom's black, Dad's white, I'm biracial. And honestly, that's all they need to know, because anything else would be like them picking a side. But because I know a lot of times with biracial children, they're supposed to pick a side if one child looks darker, then they're more black.
You
If
more
one
black,
looks
right.
more fair, they're more white. And so, because I've got, like, literally the spectrum when it comes to skin tone, so I can't say, like, oh, this baby is lighter, so they're gonna identify as white, or this one's darker, so now they're a little closer to mommy, they identify as black. My kids know that they're biracial, and we had to teach them that early on. And that's just, honestly, it saved a lot of headache. And they just had to really be assured and confident in who they were before they went to the real world. And I think it starts at home, because you don't want society telling them what they are.
Yeah.
And so,
Just like with my daughters too, Ava says at school, people be like, oh, she'll say, oh, my dad, they'll be like, oh, are you Spanish or whatever? She's like, no, my mom's black and my dad's white. They're like, your mom's black? Like, or those, even like her classmates, if they notice her siblings, like, oh, that's your sister? Just because Ava's a little darker than Elena. Aaliyah has blonde hair, but it's coarser. Like, they just look different.
yeah.
So I made sure my girls knew as well, like, look, you're half black, half white. And even, I feel like some people in the black culture, I don't know, I feel like they want to cancel some of us that date white men for some reason. I'm like, I still, for my
still
black
here.
community, okay?
And that's what I would
Like,
say all
calm
the
down.
time. It's like, my husband's white, but they didn't give me like I didn't change skin tone, I didn't change race. Like, my husband's white, I'm not, I'm still a black woman. Like, that's always weird to me. Like, they try to erase who I am because of who I married. I'm like, I'm still black lots of time, like, lots of my check. Like, I don't
Or they'll
understand it.
say,
It's
like,
weird.
your kid is mostly black. If you're black, if you have black in you, you're mostly black. That's what, like, some people
the
say.
whole
And
one
I'm just
drop rule, we
like,
could talk about
yeah.
it all. I'm just like, look, my kids are biracial. Mom's white, dad's black. We're biracial, and it is what it is. And that's, I felt that's all they have to tell people, because anything else would be people telling you who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
definitely.
and we honestly haven't had any issues with them like honestly having like an identity crisis type thing, or
Yeah.
feeling like, what am I? Who am I? We've always been very open and honest with them about race. We've even talked to my oldest son about like perception and, just, in the real world, because he came to us about like police brutality and that kind of thing. And so we had to tell him like, okay, he see all these news stories, and, you try to shield him as much as you can,
Yeah.
but he's going to come to you and say, okay, black men are getting killed by police officers. What's going on? That kind of stuff. And so I had to tell him that some people you are perceived as a black man, and because he's biracial,
Halfway,
like
right.
there's certain things that you have to be
They
really,
ain't gonna look at that. They just,
you have to kind of give them enough to educate them, but still protect them at the same time, because
Yeah.
I also don't want them going to the world thinking that they're going to encounter negative experiences
Yeah.
just because of who they are, how they look. Like,
We're
I
not
want
even
them-
wanting to go into the
Yeah.
world because they're like, nah.
Exactly. Like, I don't want him to feel like, okay, I'm a black man, so I've got to be afraid, and I've got to stay on my P's and Q's, and I've got to say certain things and do certain things. Like, I don't want him to just have the just so much negativity and just
Yeah.
have like paranoia because he's melanated, So it's like, if they come to me with certain questions, we speak honestly to them.
People start on that police stuff.
Yeah. Maybe we could be here
I'm
all day
like,
on that.
my family,
Yeah.
especially like he's white and he's a cop, married to me, and then
Yeah.
it's just like
That's
he gets
tough.
called racist a lot at work, and he just be laughing. His coworkers just be like, Cone's wife's black, but okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, with our boys, they're like, huh? Right? Because it's like, hey, you're half black and you're half Polynesian. Well, I mean, like, you're half black, you're a quarter Polynesian, and then you're a quarter white. So
Yeah.
There's the pie.
there you go. And so, I mean, luckily they haven't had to even, they haven't even asked about it at all. They're just more of like, let's go play video games, and
I think
which
it's
is
a girl
nice.
thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more like a girl thing, like that get asked more of that, because your hair is
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
and people
Yeah.
are just like, "Oh, you look like this. What are you?" So
Yeah, you're right.
Because our kids don't even, I mean, our boys, my mom is like, they don't look like each other. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, the oldest and the youngest kind of does. Our middle, Kaysen, looks like Terrence.
Yeah.
Kaysen is Terrence. And he
Terrence
has
is
the
Kaysen.
curly hair. He, the oldest and the younger, Bray and Taj, they have a mix. They kind of have hair like my dad's, where it's coarse. Polynesian hair is
thick.
thick and coarse and long and all that jazz, but they have a mix of our hair. And so, I mean, a lot of times I haven't had any not issues, but like questions of like, what are they? Because they always just think that my kids are like Dominican, but I mean,
They
I
always
know,
go to Spanish.
they
Like
always,
if
they
you're
always
mixed with
default to
this, like,
Spanish. If it's not black, if it's not white, it's Spanish. And I'm like, guess what? There's more out there.
Yeah, for sure.
There's more out there. I think I have some Asian in me too, but when that time does come to have that we do talk about, hey, you're Ratuman. They're like, huh? What is it?
Yeah.
You're an islander. Okay. You're just half islander. But what are some fun stories? I mean, my fun story was the whole Walmart, you're dating your brother situation. But what are some fun times or fun stories you have, if any, about?
have any. I'm like trying to think. I'm like,
I'm trying to think. Oh my goodness! Like, I can even say with the kids, like, of course, everything is a default back to breastfeeding
Yeah.
with me. But even the kids, like when I started nursing Ian, Ellie said, "Mommy makes chocolate milk," like things like that. Where I was like, "That is super cute." Okay. And so, like things like that are just like super cute, like intimate family moments. We have a lot of those.
yeah.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, I have. So I guess with my kid, I could say real quick, Aaliyah, she's my light skinned baby, and when I was pregnant with Araya, she was like, "Mommy, I want Araya to be white, so we can have 3 white people in the house and 3 brown people in the house." And I was like, "Well, we'll see." And then she came out with no brown in her, so I'm like, "There you
And
go."
you're like, "Okay, girl."
I want it even.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's cute. And I love the innocence of it too,
Yes.
because when the world steps in, it becomes so trivial and negative and all these things. But like, even with my kids, it's like when people say, how do you navigate race relations and race this and that? And I'm like, in our house, it's not as heavy as it is in the world. Like, it's not as heavy as it is in the media. And I think people don't understand that. Like, people think that my husband and I would have these constant like race wars, these constant back and forth dialogue about
We
race.
just love each
and
other.
we don't. I'm
Yeah.
like, close that
Yeah.
bedroom door and
Right.
okay.
Let's
So
go.
it's
Make
like
another
interracial
day.
couples don't talk about it as much as people think. It's like we are doing school drop off, pick up, going to work,
Doing life.
trying to
drop-
remember
school pickup again.
to
Yep.
turn the crock pot on. If not, then it's cold food in the crock pot when I get home. We're
Right.
getting pizza. Like this is our day to day.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's not as analyzed and talked about and kind of mulled over as people think it is.
Yeah.
Like in the real world, it's like in reality, we are normal couples living our lives and trying to navigate
We're
the world the
just
same way you are, you know? Yeah.
People.
Nobody
And,
worried
and
about that.
society tries to press that on us.
Yeah,
Right?
for
Is
sure.
that, well, why are you not having these conversations? Because it's not at the top of my
Yeah.
priority
Right.
right now.
Nobody
I have to
cares.
change
Like,
this nasty doo-doo pull-up. Right?
nobody
And-
cares.
Yes. Did the bug guy come today? Did he get paid?
Yeah.
Did
Are the bills paid?
did you switch the
No.
wet clothes into the dryer? Like,
Are we spending time with each other? Like,
check to see if the clothes are mildewed. If not,
Yeah.
hurry put them in the dryer. Like, come on. Like, what's going on?
wash them again.
I've done that. Yeah. I'm
Couple
like,
bad time.
oh,
Like these are real
man.
life issues here.
Yeah, and we're not saying that race is not important,
Yeah.
but in society here in our marriages, it is, and I'm not trying to sound like insensitive to race, but it's not a priority for us because guess what? We love each other no matter what.
Yeah.
When I see Terrence, I see a black man, but I see Terrence.
Yeah.
I see my husband, the person I'm spending the rest of my life with, who gave me 3 beautiful boys, right? And it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to be sensitive that he's a black man. And yes, there are some things we have to be sensitive
I
about.
be making white jokes all the time. I be forgetting my white. I'm like, oh, my bad.
But we be on the TikTok all the time laughing at certain things. And
Yeah.
it's just all about, referencing the Bible again. Jesus just wants us to love one another as we are and not focusing on all our differences. Yeah, we have differences. My hair is different than your hair and we have a different complexion, but guess what? I love you no matter what. We both drink coffee.
We
you know what I'm saying?
bleed.
Excessive amounts
We
of coffee.
bleed the same blood. You don't drink coffee, but
Yeah.
I will hold that against you on a separate occasion.
Tea.
We wake up every day, God willing, and we're all moms. We're trying to raise our kids. I am glad that race isn't a strong, it's not something that we're having to fight every day in our
Yeah.
marriages because
Thank
that
God.
would be stressful.
And I think the biggest thing is like John and I have been so intentional about like pursuing God
yes.
that it's like we don't have time to think like, and not that race seems trivial because it used to, I can say until we really came into a relationship with God together, I could see how those kind of things would kind of bubble up. But it's like our foundation is so strong, and I'm not like, oh, we're the perfect couple by no means. Like I still like want to
punch
fuss
'em.
them out all the time, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, we're trying to model our relationship like more after Christ and
Yeah.
more kingdom marriage minded.
Yeah.
That we're not so focused on it literally feels like an outside
Kingdom
thing.
marriage.
Right?
Hashtag
Kingdom
kingdom
marriage.
marriage.
But things seem so trivial, and it's like once we're really dealing with our character, then the race thing is honestly like it's secondary. It's like this isn't something we have to focus on because no matter what, we're still pursuing God. We're still trying to be better as people, and it doesn't matter that we're people that look different. But it's just like
It's awesome that we look different.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like
there's
society,
beauty in it for sure.
society
Yeah.
looks at it, but I'm like, no, it's cool.
And I always teach my kids this because when people say, "Oh, I don't see race," I'm not gonna call you a liar. I'm gonna say you're fibbing. We all see race.
But you're lying.
We all see race because I'm like, my husband sees me and he's like, oh, I love, her curly hair or her brown eyes or whatever. And I'm like, oh, he's got green eyes. Oh, he's got dimples. That's so cute. Like whatever his characteristics are, it's like for people to say they don't see race.
Yeah.
I see race, but I see the beauty in race.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like for people to say, I don't see race. It's like a really blanket statement for people to think that you're not racist.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, I see it as the opposite where it's like, I want you to see race, but still love it regardless,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Should
so,
see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Terrence.
Sure, like I see race.
What do you see? What do you see in me?
I cannot.
No, that's
I wish I
fine.
could see his face.
It's okay.
What do you see?
He just sees my booty.
Give me
It's
the
not your
motion.
beauty, it's your booty.
There you go.
No, that's good because
Yeah.
like seeing the positive. Like I love the fact that my kids look like him. Like together, a Polynesian / white / black / Cherokee couple came together and made these beautiful kids. Like,
Yeah.
guess what? Guess what, world? There's gonna be more people looking like
More
us.
mix.
Yeah.
That's the new race, they say. Mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, mixed. It's all about embracing the differences and loving them. And then it goes into the cultural part, right? Where, you know, my family has cultural things, you know, the food, that's yummy. And we get to introduce that to Terrence's family. We had that at our wedding, and Southern food, I like it.
Yeah. I like it.
I don't like collards.
I don't either.
Sorry.
And I get shamed
Oh,
for
my
that.
word.
Speaking of race, people like,
me,
you
I'm
ain't black. You ain't black. You don't like no
My
colors.
heart stopped. Oh my gosh. I eat them by themselves, just like a bowl of
Lost your
them.
black card if you don't like collards.
Right.
I don't like
Come
them.
on now.
I don't like black eyed peas.
Me either.
God, and my mouth is watering now just hearing it. Oh my god.
Black eyed peas taste like dirt. They taste like straight dirt.
They're so good.
Oh, you like them? Sorry.
I love
Parents,
all
do
things.
you like them?
But I eat like y'all don't want to hear the stuff I eat. I eat southern food.
You eat chitlins.
I sure do. And pig's feet. I eat not even chitterlings. I eat chitlins. I eat pig's feet.
Chitterlings.
Baby, I cuts up. I'm from the South, okay? But it's funny because when John met me, like my mother's an amazing cook. Oh my goodness. Like whenever the kids walk into our house and they say, it smells like Grammy's house, I'm like, I've arrived. Like, I know how to cook. Like they think I can cook. But my mother is an amazing cook. And when John met me, we'd been dating for a little while, and he would come to my house every single day. We counted 23 days straight. It was so bad that on the 24th day, my mom said, baby, you've got to go home. John, you've got to go home. Because even his dad would call and say, coming home tonight? And he's like, no. So his dad wouldn't cook dinner because John was always at my house. But he would walk in and say, hey, Miss Pat, what's for dinner? But he got exposed to certain foods. And so that was just fun for us to get to know each other, even on that level, because it was like, oh, like we're not so different. Like he just never ate the foods because he never tried them, you know? Yeah. So that was just fun navigating that and realizing like, oh, we are a lot more similar than we think, you know? And I think that's the main takeaway mostly is that people think there's so many differences between us. I always say, like, I'll meet someone that looks totally different from me, like a blonde haired, blue eyed white woman. And we'll sit there talking and I'm like, do we have the same husband? Like, are we living the same existence? Like, what is going on? And a lot of times you will meet people and you're realizing that, y'all, we're always trying to make it.
Yes.
I'm like, but we're a lot of times living the same existence. And it's just a matter of actually like talking to someone, getting to know them, because we're not as different as people think we are, you know?
And there's so many cultures, English cultures that are very similar. Like,
oh, for sure.
People, well, and the funny thing is, like, when I tell people, like, about my dad's background and culture, they're like, oh, no, he black. And I'm like,
get out.
I was like, he's not, but we all like food. Yeah. You know, I mean, even during the holidays, I mean, not holidays, but shifting, my mind just jumped to another subject. The church, right? Is that I didn't grow up in the church. Terrence grew up in probably the blackest church I know.
Pentecost.
Baptist. But it was like,
oh.
you know, the running, right?
And I grew up Pentecost.
All those things, you know.
Can't wear pants.
Yeah.
Could we wear pants?
I could
No,
not.
we couldn't wear pants. We couldn't wear
dress
well,
pants.
now it's a whole nother thing. But I would have to say that, and I'm not making a plug, and maybe I am making a plug, right? But Focus Church is, you know, Pastor Mike says this all the time, is that Focus Church is a lot like how heaven is.
Yeah.
And so we have to accept it. And that's how that's why we're still there.
Yeah.
That's why we love Focus so much, is because
the diversity.
It's diverse, and you see different couples from different ethnic backgrounds, and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
I see a lot of black
know.
women. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I feel
ooh,
we're
we coming
we're
out.
like the hub. Like we're
Yeah.
like Raleigh's hub for interracial marriage.
For real. We
So I'm
coming
like, everybody's
out.
here. And my friend came a couple weeks ago for the first time. And the first thing she said to me, she said, this is the most diverse church I've ever been to. And I was so proud of that. I was like, oh, like she felt really accepted. And she was like, I'm looking around and people look like me and then they don't look like me and everyone's nice. And I was like you said, Pastor Mike says, like, this is what heaven's going to look like. Yeah. And the sooner people understand that, accept it, then the better off we'll be. Because it's like.
And it's not like forget about the past. No, the past happened. You know, it's unfortunate. But guess what? Like, why do I feel like really like bad saying like we got to move forward? Yeah. You know, and we can talk about what happened in the past, but in reality, if we keep staying in, if we keep staying in the past, we'll never move forward, and we'll never learn to accept, you know, those of different ethnic backgrounds, and you know, the United States of America is supposed to be the huge melting pot of the world, but like. I just want to teach my kids, like, no matter what, who cares what they look like? I mean, not who cares what they look like, but like, see the beauty in what they
Yeah.
look like and learn more about their culture.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, is that we don't stop, like you were saying, have a conversation with somebody. You'll learn so much about them.
Yeah.
You never know that we could have probably went through the same stuff in life. We could have probably went through the same stuff in life.
Yeah.
Our cultures, you may have Polynesian in you, that 2%. You
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
know. You know what I'm saying?
I just might.
I want to do that
Just
test.
might.
I just know my dad did a blood test and he got Ghana. So I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I ain't got Ghana in me. I love to dance. So that's probably why.
There you go.
They always dancing.
There you
But
go.
I want to do a test. That's so cool. What do you just
If
swab?
you would like to donate to the cause of doing 23andMe,
Go
for
fund
us,
me. Say.
please just Cash App us at
We need to make a Mom Vibes Cash App, imagine. Just kidding.
or 23andMe if you would like to donate a test.
Sponsor
No,
you.
I
It's
mean,
like,
all in all, I think it's important that we're just loving one another. Love our spouses as they are, and continue to be that balance for them, and teaching our kids. I mean, that's the key point. Interracial marriage can be hard,
yeah.
but it can be hard due to society. So I think that's something we have to really focus
And how
on.
we grew up.
And
Because,
how
you
we
know, our
grew up.
parents did things
Generational
different.
curses.
It stops with me.
X-nay on that, eh?
That's a whole nother combo for that.
Whole nother episode. But just loving one another and
Yeah.
teaching our kids differently and showing them differently. you
Yeah.
know?
And I think making God the center too, making Christ the center, has helped a lot with kind of ensuring that like outside influences are just kept at the door, like not keeping that door window even open. Like we are very fortified.
Yes.
And I think that's really important, because if we weren't, then a lot of outside societal influences would impact our mental health, the way we perceive one another, the way we interact with one another. And so I think that's why we've navigated the way we have, because that's the one thing we all have in common, is that we have Christ-centered marriages.
Yep.
And that's probably a lot different. It may look a lot different for people in interracial marriages that don't have that as a center. So that could be a thing. Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Pray about it. Put Christ in the middle. It works. Just saying.
Kingdom mind.
Kingdom mind / kingdom marriage.
There you go.
We all been through that.
We all
Yeah.
went through kingdom marriage.
Yeah.
Yep. But thanks for hanging out with us again today.
Thank y'all for having me once again.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
For coming.
Thank you.
Please feel free to drop in any other time.
Yes, this is fun.
Yeah. It's like therapy,
It
but
is.
for
It's
free.
it
It's
is,
free
it is,
therapy.
it is. But again, you can follow Emerald on the Instagrams. She has Cornerstone Lactation
Cornerstone
on
Lactation.
Instagram and Facebook, and Emmy Rice. But follow us on the Instagram.
Mom Vibes
Mom Vibes
Podcast.
Podcast. But thanks again for hanging out with us today. Wherever you're at, in the car, at home, crying in the closet, in the shower, like I do sometimes. It's okay.
cry in the shower.
It's normal. It's normal, guys.
Yes, cry it out.
But we look forward to chatting with you again soon. But thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.